Hello, everyone. Patriot 5 and Patriot 6 here on Friday night finale. Patriots Having Fun is the title. I'm going to set up 6 pledge. I'm going to play the music, and we're going to get going. Just remember that this video is not made for children. You can watch it under the discretion of your parents, grandparents, or legal guardians. And the music we're going to play tonight, we have absolutely no legal rights to. We use it for fun and entertainment. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If tomorrow all the things were gone that were for all my life, and I had to start again, just my children and my wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, where the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt that's the land. God bless the USA. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, oh, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say,
Man, don't leave it back.
and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I can stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no time to next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless you.
God bless the USA. Beautiful song, amazing song. Good to see Jeffrey and Janet, Valerie, Ann, Myrna, Betty, Diane, BA. But we have a special birthday today for Karen. So happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Karen. Happy birthday to you. I seen that Myrna sang it to her on Messenger today. I think I sing better than Myrna. Just joking. I don't sing better than anybody. So, I really don't know where to begin, so I'm going to begin with the kids. Super Jimmy, I hope you're getting outside and playing. Because I want to talk about a couple of boys today. I'm coming down to Ron's, get him some lunch. Have some lunch myself. Sit and watch a little TV before I had to go do some errands. And 2 boys was dribbling the basketball. on the road. Each had one. And I was going to the park. And I stopped and I said, can I shake you boys' hands? And they said, what for? Do we know you? And I said, well, let's put it this way. I was playing basketball and softball and baseball and football and everything in this town long before probably your mom and dad was even born. I've been in this town or around this town since 1957. And I said, kids today just don't go out and play basketball. You got a full court right there. And I want to go see you guys take a shot because I haven't seen anybody play basketball in that hoops for over 2 years. You got another basketball court down a little bit further that you could go play. Now, the one thing that you don't have that I had when I was a kid is you don't have the sandlot, the schoolyard, where we had everything. We could use it for football field, we used it for baseball field, we used it for softball field, and then we was even fortunate enough to get a basketball court. But some people in town who they liked it when the town had money, they wanted to be on the board when the town had money, and all of a sudden the town didn't have money anymore. But they sold our schoolhouse and the land that went with it for a measly, I think, $37,000. Had they waited and tried to sell it today, the land that went with it would have been worth $100,000. But see, these people wanted their money. $37,000 came into our town. 2 months later, they was trying to raise things in the town because we didn't have no money. Where did it go? Well, yeah, I know. If I had the money to hire an attorney, I'd prove it to the world, but I don't. But anyway, we had all of that. Kids today don't. But there's always yards you can play catch in. There's fields. You know, we live in an area that when there's no crops out, when the crops are out, go out and play in the field. Me and Ron used to when we lived on a farm for a short time. We would go out and we'd hit fly balls from one end of the yard into the field and we'd run them down. But kids don't do it. And I looked at the kids and I said, these were 15, 16-year-old boys. And I looked at them and I said, you kids today, you got too much. You got your cell phones, your tablets, you know, TV. I said, I got a grandson that's 8 years old, and he's either been on a Game Boy, he's been on a tablet, or he's been watching TV since 7 o'clock this morning. And this was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And the boys looked at me and said, we got cell phones, but my mom's got a limit on it, how long we can be on it. She has a limit on how much we can be on our tablets, and we watch TV at night as a family. If we go over our limit, we get our phones and our tablets taken away from us. If we stay under our limits, we get a reward. And you know what? Maybe we need to give kids rewards. Like, you know, little dog's laying down here on the floor. If she's good, I throw her a treat. And I don't want to make it sound like I want to give kids treats, but, you know, we got to do something in this country to get the kids. You know, we as patriots here, we're going out of our way to make this a better world, to make it heaven on earth, to make it to where you never, ever have to remember going through what we went through. And we're doing this, and all we get is disrespect. Kids are so disrespectful, and a lot of them today. A lot of them are very good. The ones I'm talking to tonight, Jimmy, very respectful. You know, when I used to talk to Patriot 11, very respectful. I had a conversation, it's been a while now, with Patriot Karate Kid and Patriot Wyatt Earp. You know, they called me and we just had a nice little chat, and I loved it. You know, Patriot Little Leona and Little Leilani. I was just talking to Patriot 7 today, and Michael sent Ron some pictures of Little Leona, and he goes, "Oh, she is just so cute." She is. And I said right then, I don't have the money now, and I don't have the vehicle that I trust yet. But one of these days, when I got the money, when I got the time, I'm going to get Ron in the vehicle, and we're going to take off, and we can either meet Mike halfway and have lunch and go to a park and watch her play, and Maybe it's a park that allow us to drink a few brews, and we can have our little brews. And it's funny, and I don't want to come out and say it's okay to drink and drive, because it's not. But I just see people now, you don't have to worry too much about kids drinking and driving. They never want to leave home. They got their, they leave home and leave my tablet, leave home and leave the TV. Are you kidding me? But our kids, a Patriot Hunter, and his sister, the princess, our little queen, the little queen. I mean, she just won a softball tournament. She doesn't stay at home. Things like that. Boogs, Boogaloo, Boogaroo, and Boogie. John is always sending me pictures of these kids. I guess John don't realize he can take one email and send me all 4 kids, because John sends me 4 emails with one kid, and that's okay. Because Ron brought it to my attention. I was in a bad mood last night. I was in a bad mood, and I'll get into why I was in a bad mood. And as I went to leave, I said something, and he didn't snap at me, but it wasn't his regular tone that me and him talk. And I said, whoa, I didn't realize I was, I just was trying to vent something, to get something off my chest, which I will cover here in a little bit, but it's not for the kids section. And it's what it is, because we're working our rear ends off. Huh? Huh. Hi, David. How was your birthday the other day, buddy? And good to see you. Bill Woods, good to see you. Oh, wait a minute. It was Bill Woods' birthday the other day. I'm confused. Tony's here. Valerie. Jeffrey and Janet. Ann and Tony. Cindy's here. Cindy, I gave you some advice the other day about California, and then I found out what it really is. And I'll send you some messages tonight later and tell you what I found out it really is there. But Cynthia's here. Well, what's that to Ralph?
Jeffrey's here.
Jeffrey. I said Jeffrey 3 times. Yes. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is our kids are different. Patriot super gymnast. She does get on tablets. She doesn't have a cell phone. When Papa goes over, she likes to, hey, can I see your cell phone? What for? Well, there's this one game I like to play. You got 5 minutes. I might give her 10. That's it. I'm not going to go over and see my grandkids and watch them be on my phone all the while I'm over there. Patriot 7, little Liam. He's been playing ball all summer. He finally gets done. And I was over at the house yesterday, and I had to take him to football practice. He's already now starting to practice for football. Patriot Small Hank. I had a little bit of a talk with him today. 7 o'clock in the morning, he comes downstairs and he turns TV on. Well, you have to understand, when he turns TV on, the room the TV in is, you walk out of that room and open the door and you walk into my bedroom. So when a TV comes on at 7 o'clock in the morning, when you got to bed at 3 o'clock at night, you're not the happiest camper in the world. So I had to get up and go to the bathroom. And I said, either turn it down or turn it off. And he turned it down. Then he sat there and just laughed. So I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, but I put up with it. But then he gets on this Game Boy. And I went out, and I have this tendency. I mean, I don't know if you guys can imagine me doing this, but I have this tendency to tease, to pick on, to mess with my grandkids. So I went out and started messing with him. And he goes, you're going to make me mess up your night. And I got in his way, and he got killed in his game. And he started to cry. I said, do me a favor. And he said, what? I said, give me your Game Boy. No. I said, give me your Game Boy now. I don't get very authoritative with my grandkids very often. I said, give me your Game Boy now. He goes, why? I said, because you was disrespectful and I'm not going to put up with it in my house. He gives me the Game Boy. I walk up to the stand TVs just above,
Whoa.
and I pick up the remote control, and I go back to bed. He goes, "What am I supposed to do?" I don't know. I handed him a book, and I said, "Why don't you sit here and read this book? Look, it's 85 degrees out." Wow. It's 85 degrees out. Why don't you go out and play? Your friends are out in their yard. Why don't you go play? Tonight he was getting ready to go to the annual Corn Bowl. It's a little get together with people in Herscher. And as he got ready to go, he looked at me and he said, "Thank you." And I said, "For what?" And he says, "For doing what you did to me today." He said, "Because I was wrong. I shouldn't have yelled at you." So he at least got the point. Then, the little monkey, she got a gift certificate to Dairy Queen, and they have a Dairy Queen right there in Clifton. And she literally called me and asked me to come over because she wanted to take me to the Dairy Queen. I went over and we didn't go. And the reason we didn't go was because of me, because she wants to take Liam too, and Liam and Ella also. And he was at football practice, so we're going to do it one day next week. But, I'm not saying my kids are better than me, because I love all of these kids here. I've had no trouble with any of them except a little bit I had with Hank today and then Kira. I was leaving to come down to Ron's. She was just getting home with her mom. She didn't see me as her mom got her out of the car, and I went, "Ah!" And she almost jumped out of her mom's arms. Then she starts to laugh, and she looks at me, she says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Down to Uncle Ron's." And she says, "Put your seatbelt on." 2 years old telling me to put my seatbelt on. So anyway, guys, I got to stand up for a minute. I'm still talking. I'm still here. But there's something going on in the TV that I got to honor. Turn it up. You got to turn it up. No, it's too late. I'll be right with you. I'm not going nowhere. You can see my shirt. He's playing the national anthem on the White Sox game. And the White Sox might not be a good team, but the organization itself, as far as class goes, I don't think there's any class here. We have this feud, White Sox fans, Cubs fans. And the Cubs fans are supposed to be so much better, and the Cub organization is supposed to be so much better, and the Cubs this and the Cubs that's supposed to be so much better. In 2005, the White Sox won the World Series. Since they won the World Series, 2 of the players on the team number has been retired. Their numbers have been retired, and they built statues in the ballpark for them. Mark Burley's statue is being unveiled, and it's a ceremony before the game tonight. And they had his daughters throwing out the first pitch. And then his son sang the national anthem. The Cubs won their World Series. They traded away all their stars. They banned one of them, one of their greatest players ever, not on the World Series team, but they banned their greatest player ever from the park, and now finally have decided to come back only because Jerry Reinsdorf said, "You're always welcome in White Sox Park," because we traded him to the Cubs. But anyway, I wanted to stand and acknowledge the national anthem for this game tonight. But, finishing up with the kids, we have a great group of kids here, and I really miss the ones that are no longer with our group. I hope that every now and then they do get to listen and remember. I hope Patriots Smiley is still smiling and trying to make people smile every day. And And I just hope and pray for that little man there and all the kids like him, that they'll be able to get on their med beds. See, because they can say what they want. Big Pharma can say what they want. Doctors, I think all doctors should be stripped of their titles. And we start with all new ones, teach them how to run these special beds. I really believe this because, see, any doctor that had anything to do with giving these kids these shots, these Amish people, that they don't believe in these shots, but that none of the kids have ADHD, none of the kids have that other diseases. They're very, very healthy kids. And, people say, well, they look strange. I don't care what they look like. They're healthy kids. They're not going through what our kids are going through. But, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. No matter when the parents have their eyes closed. When the parents have their eyes closed, it doesn't matter what we say or do, because they're not going to open them. I talked to them. Someone is very, very close to me on the 4th of July I talked to. And I'm explaining things to them. And I said, you can get on these bids and you can maybe live like in the Bible years, the New Testament, the Old Testament years, where you can maybe, 200, 300, 400 years old. And he looked at me and he says, I don't want to live in a world like this. I said, then why aren't you a patriot like me and getting out and trying to make a difference? Why? That's what we elect these people for. No, you elect these people to become rich and steal from us and do all the terrible things to us. We got to get rid of these people. You can't get this stuff through to people's heads. I'm leaving a store today, and as I'm driving, I look down by the stop sign. There's a man sitting with his dog. And I drive up. And he comes in, he says, sir, could you give me a few bucks? My dogs need dog food. My dogs need dog food. My dogs, they're so hungry. They're so hungry. And I said, I can help you. Hold on a second. I reached back across my body into the back seat. And I just bought my dog canned dog food. And I took out 2 cans, one for each dog, and I handed it to the man. He said, what's this? I said, it's dog food. Your dogs are hungry. He called me a very, very, very bad name. And I said, well, why are you out here? If you got the time, if you can make the effort to walk up to people's cars at stop signs and stoplights to ask for money, you can go in a place right there. That store that I just come out of is hiring right now. You take your dogs home, you clean up a little bit, you walk in there, you tell them you need a job, and I bet you're working by Monday morning. He says, I don't want to work. And I said, and I don't want to give you any money. And then I reached back and threw 2 more cans of dog food out over towards his dogs. And I said, that'll at least get your dogs food for the next 2 days. But if I give you $10, it's going either in your arms, up your nose, or whatever. It ain't happening. It's amazing how people are. It's amazing how they are. I just only hope and pray if he really is homeless. See, I've seen these people. I seen the funniest video the other day, last night. This beautiful blonde, real short shorts, tremendous looking, any man's dream, even old men like me. She's walking, and all of a sudden she steps down on the curb, and she's got a bag, and she wanted to get something out of her bag. Now, this is a nice bag, and this girl's got very nice clothes on, very clean, very well-to-do. And she's in where people are walking by all the time. And she opens up her bag to get something out, and a guy walks by and he throws a $5 bill in. And she goes, hey, I'm going to tell him that's not what this is for. The next thing you know, you see like 15 guys in the next couple of minutes, 15 to 20 guys coming throwing 5, 10s, and 20s in there. And she sat there. Wouldn't you, Janet? If you sat down and opened your bag and people started throwing money in it, wouldn't you take it? I mean, I'm not a girl, but if girls walk by and want to throw money in my bag, I'd take it and give it to people who needed it. But that's how you do it. That's where these people are stupid. They go out there looking like bums, and then they go home and put their good clothes on because they got a nicer house than I got. But if they really wanted to make a lot, you get a really, really sexy, beautiful girl to go out there, and you put them in an area where there's going to be a lot of people going by. But anyway, we don't need to talk about that. But we're done with the kids' section tonight. I'm happy that you're with us. I'm happy that you communicate with us and all. I did mention Little Leona and Little Elon. I thought I forgot them, but it is what it is. But where are we at, and what are we going to do, and how are we going to do it? Well, let's just look at some things we got here. Let's see what we got for tonight. Last night, I was very excited. I let my excitement get the better of me. What I did is every place I went for an hour and 15, 20 minutes online, Messenger, Telegram, any place that I went like that. People were saying, I seen Carpathia, I seen the guy down under, Wolverine. Wake up, Ron. I seen all these people. They're announcing. They're posting Bruce's number. They're posting Bruce's all this stuff to make sure they wanted his show overwhelmed because Bruce had some really great news. He had some exciting news, some amazing news. And he couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to get everyone on. So here's Carpathia's rundown of Bruce's call last night. Very, very brief Bruce Big Call notes with important facts only. Bruce, President of the Hat, talked to Sadani to raise the IQD rate on Saturday. The new dinar rate should be on the screens on Saturday. One of the Redemption Center leaders said, no rates on screens right now, not on bank screens either. Reason may be that our bank accounts will be mirrored in QFS and also being live on QFS, and some banks are still doing that, and our accounts should be done and live on QFS on Saturday. Bruce also did mention what she kind of left out there. Bruce did mention that when the Hat talked to Suzanne, he was going to give them a break on tariffs if they raise the price of the Iraq dinar. And I can understand our fearless Hat wanting it raised, because I heard once he's got millions and millions and millions and millions and millions, and you can keep going, of dinar. I just want him to release it, because they say once dinar is released, everything will be released. Carpathia also said they are connecting all accounts to QFS by Saturday. Where are we for notifications? We thought it would be out today. Now it appears, in parentheses, she says, there is a reason we got pushed to tomorrow due to the IQD rates being raised on Saturday. It looks like we will be notified on Friday, and they want us to start exchanging on Saturday. If the numbers come out tomorrow, we should start Saturday. But if we get notifications over the weekend, we would start on Monday. He thinks the dinar has to be at the correct rate on redemption center screens on Saturday, so we could still possibly get 800 numbers on Friday. We need to be patient as this takes place and as we look for this to come to conclusion. The DOGE, R&R, and increase in Social Security are still on for July, although not on your usual Wednesday or day of deposit. And the reason he was saying that is because we've already had 2 Wednesdays. And I know my Wednesday to get paid was this past one this week, 2 days ago, the 9th. I didn't get a raise. The people on the 2nd didn't get a raise. And the people who get paid just on the first day of the month didn't get a raise. But according to Bruce, and this is me listening to Bruce, not reading what CARPATHIA said, what he did say was, just because we didn't get it doesn't mean the third Thursday they might start putting it out there, but then they'll go back and they'll make up the difference. Like, let's say we're all supposed to get twice as much. So maybe this Wednesday for the people on the first and second Wednesday of the month, we may get the rest of ours on this Wednesday or the following Wednesday. But he was very specific. He did say that he believes it'll be sometime this month. That's what I was just saying. It is possible extra payments may catch up for the Social Security recipients. We have now about redemption centers. We have 1 week to set appointments for the redemption center, and we have 1 month to do Zim and redemption. Now, I ask anyone here who has currency going to the redemption center, anyone here who has Zim, is it going to take you a week to make your appointment? It sure ain't going to make me. If I get my 800 number tomorrow morning, I will call tomorrow morning. When we call with the toll-free number, we will go to a call center. There are 4 to 6 centers. Each state has its own district office, which is connection with all the redemption centers. There are at least 9,000 redemption centers in the USA. As far as the special beds, also he went on to say, and she doesn't have this, he went on to say, when you go to the redemption center, you will be in a situation where you ought to make sure you always ask, is this the highest rate you can give me? Because if you do, they know that they're not messing with somebody who just got some currency, forgot about it, someone told them about it, now they're in trying to get their money. As far as the special beds, the availability will be fairly quickly after exchange. To be early, the special beds, to be early in the special beds is to be a Zim holder and or have dire need. Let them know this when you go to the redemption center. Now, he also elaborated on the special needs. Now, something I found out, and this is kind of, to me, I think important. I've been talking to a girl in the Ukraine. She speaks very good English, but she also likes to speak her language. Her mother speaks very little English. Her best friend is about 50-50 as far as speaking it. And these are all people that I figure I'm going to be communicating in my life. And if you go in and you tell them while you're on the bed, you want to learn a language, they can do that. Maybe there's something that you want that they can do. It's not all about just getting on the beds and the beds finding out everything you want. If you want something else, women, some women are like, I got nieces that are like this. And I'm sure when they go on there, they wouldn't mind if they were like this. You understand what I mean? I'm trying to be very casual here. There's men that, and I'm not going to go into this because kids watch this show, but I think the adults understand what I'm talking about, and I only hope the kids don't. But if there's something special that you want, them to do, it could be maybe even something that you have a memory of something that you can't get out of your mind, but you want it out of your mind. Now, you take someone like me, I do never want to lose the memories of the animals I've had in the past. I'd like to lose the heartache I have for them. I don't want to lose the memories of my loved ones, my mom, my dad, my brother-in-law, and many my best friends. I don't want to lose the memories of them, but I would like to lose the sadness of losing them. So that's another thing you can do. It will not take long. It will not be a long wait, no more than 4 to 6 days after your appointment. In most cases, if you are in super dire need, you will be pushed forward. Whatever zip code you enter, you will be connected to Redemption Center closest to your zip code. Now, that's what Bruce says, but also what I have heard, you can be closest to the one in your area. I live in a town. I know there's no redemption centers close to me. I know at the least I'm going to drive 35 to 45 minutes. But I don't care. I don't care if I have to drive an hour and a half or 2 hours one way. Because I look at it this way. He goes on, and Raleigh will be in here. He goes on to say how protective these redemption centers are going to be. You're not going to have to worry about anything. They're going to be very, very, very protective. So even being protective, I like the idea of going in, giving what I got, keeping a copy of my own. But see, what I'm going to ask for, and you guys might want to do the same thing. Whatever you give them, whatever currency you give them, make sure you have a sheet of paper for them. So if you have 100 trillion Zim, 5 notes, you have that 5 notes, 100 trillion Zim. And here's what you do if you have 2 million dinar, if you have 5 million dong, whatever you have it on a paper. You have a copy for you and a copy for them. You have them sign your paper as you give it to them, telling this is what I have, and they sign theirs when they come back, and they sign yours again, stating this is what you have. Now, I understand if you have a tremendous lot, like I have some, I have no idea what it is. I ordered something in because I made such a nice, they give me something. When I started ordering them yellow dragon bonds from China, when I started ordering them, I got the order for them. They threw extra in. They threw extra of other things in. I don't know what they are. So I'm going to go with question marks on them. But I'm going to take a picture of one of them, and I'm going to put it on that page that I hand them, and I'm going to say, I have this many of these. I don't know what they are. Just, do everything you can to be 100% safe. I don't think they're going to mess with you because, first of all, most redemption centers are going to be banks, glorified banks and that. They're going to be affiliated with a major bank, and they're going to want you. They're going to want you real bad to open some accounts there. But just be safe. Now, I could put all this information on. I could put all this information down, put it all together in a program. I could send it to Sue, and she could sell it to you for $100 or $200. I'm giving it to you free, guys. I don't want your money. I want to help you get more money. And remember, when I tell you about these things, I'm not a financial planner or advisor. I'm just someone that I feel I was in the right place at the right time. The right place at the right time, because the guy tells me, you need to go buy some of these dinars. These are going to be good. in 2008. That's how long I've been in it. In 2008, he told me to do that. I talked around. I don't have no money to go do it. I was just coming off of a terrible, terrible divorce. She had all the money. I did call her and say, hey, can I borrow a couple $100 to buy some currency? And I didn't go very far. But anyway, I've been doing it a long time. At the same time that we bought our dinar, we could have bought Bitcoin for half a penny a piece. We chose to go the other way. Now, people say, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. And I am. But I've also given up gambling. I've given up going to bars drinking. I've given up spending money stupidly. Rarely do I ever go out to a fast food, food place. I don't go out to fancy restaurants. We cook. We cook here. I'm a pretty good cook. And, we eat here. And in doing so, we saved a lot of money. And all of a sudden, Ron and me started noticing we got some extra money left at the end of the month. Wow. And we started taking that and buying more and more and more currency. We quit buying lotto tickets, pick 3, pick 4, or, like they said, when you see a jackpot here in Illinois, $500 million to the winner. Yeah, your chances of winning is probably 1 in 1 million. I like my chances of taking that $10 that I was going to play on them tickets and maybe buy 10 $1 million Boulevard notes. And back when I got them, we got them even cheaper than that, or XRP. I had a girl on Telegram get mad at me the other day because she wanted to teach me how to make money in cryptocurrency. I said, yeah, I only need one cryptocurrency. And that's XRP. She said, that's going to do nothing. I said, okay, come back and tell me that in a little bit. But anyway, when you call to make your appointments, you will be given 3 time slots. They may say, Valerie, they might tell you you can come at 9 a.m., you can come at 1 p.m., or you can come at 3:30 p.m. You have to pick which one is best for you. Do not get there more than 10 minutes in advance. And what I suggest everybody do, if you're not familiar with the bank, if you're not familiar where you're going, the redemption center where you're going, maybe you don't book the meeting. Like if I get my 800 number tonight or tomorrow morning and I call, maybe I don't book it for Sunday. Maybe I book it for Monday so I can use Sunday to drive to where they tell me so I can find out exactly how long it's going to take me to get there, what's around there that I can go sit for 15 to 30 minutes and just relax. Because if you got to drive, that drive's going to seem so long, because this is what's going to change our lives, guys. Financially, it's going to change our lives. Now, I think what's going to really change our lives, myself personally, is the bets. Because we can have all the money, we can have everybody to help and give them money. We can have so much. But what good's that going to do if we don't have our health? I'm 71 years old. Ron's 79. We get on them beds, we figure we're here for another at least 100 years. And the people that we can help, it's going to be a lot of fun. But the whole thing is, we'll all stay in contact. I might come on and do shows and just talk about, hey, projects. We won't talk about how much money I got. Won't talk about how much money you got, Bill. Won't talk about how much you got, Sarita. You, Janet. We won't talk about money at all. But just imagine just coming in and just throwing ideas out there. We'll talk about the projects. I mean, I've got projects lined up that I don't want to just work them here in Illinois. I want leaders. I might want Howie, I see just come on, and Janet, Missouri girl. I'm assuming she's from Missouri. The show me state. Well, I want to show her how nice of a guy I am by getting her to maybe help coordinate and lead a project in, one of my main projects, two of them, is for the children. I want to be working with the children to find every child a home. And I want to be working with the animals. So if they don't have a home, if we don't have a home for them, I want them to have people that goes out and catches them, or run ads all over. If you don't want your animal, do not put it outside. Because I'm going to tell you, when this happens, if I find out someone just threw a dog or a cat or someone like that outside, I will get them prosecuted to the highest level. I will. But see, I mean, it's things like this that we can work in every state. I know I've talked to Cindy, and she's very excited to work with me. And I've talked to Diane, and Diane with two N's. She comes into a project looking like, I'm old. You're not going to be old when you get, yeah, we're still going to be 70 years old, but we're not going to feel it. I mean, I'm different than a lot of 70-year-olds. I have a lot of energy. I'm on a go all the time. You know, my son who's really wanting to lose some weight, I love him dearly that he wants to do this. His wife finally lost some, and I think that opened his eyes. But we had some people at our house yesterday trying to sell us stuff for our house that would cut down our electricity bill. Well, I know that we're probably going to get electricity free or very, very cheap, so I'm not really worried about it. But the girl was very nice, very sweet. For everyone that she gives a presentation to, you know, if you sign it, yes, she give me a half an hour presentation, and we agree she gets her pay. So, you know, we're going through this, and they don't understand. They're talking about the price of this and the price, but they just don't understand what's really out there. But let's see what else CARPATHIA have to say. You can move funds. Your card, your Quantum card. That is not a credit card. Your Quantum card is not a credit card. Your Quantum card is a card that the money is on, and you can move it. I think he said you can have up to 3 bank accounts linked to it. But here's the thing. If you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, like I start up where I'm banking now, I start 2 or more accounts there. Ron's going to start 2 or 3 accounts, and I'll put money in his. My brother Russell start 2 or 3 accounts, and we'll put money there. But see, I can have one major account that we can put a boatload of money in, and then I can transfer to them accounts. But that Quantum card, you're not going to carry it in your wallet, your purse. I'm going to be perfectly honest with everybody. When you get your money, I think everybody needs to have someone come in, unless you can do it yourself. You can just buy them. You need to get a very, very good safe. Not something that someone's going to walk into your house and walk out. You need to get it. You need to hide it in a place where they really have to know about it. Don't let nobody, not even your family members, know about this safe. And you only go into that safe when you need the card to transfer some money into accounts. That is how I'm going to do it. You can move funds. Zim holders, you get the Zim holders, when you go, you'll get a free Zim phone. It's a satellite. T-Mobile is a carrier, and they're hooked up to the satellite system, and it's supposed to be free. It's at least a 6G phone, which that don't mean nothing to me. In LA, tunnels beneath LA, usually they'll be involved. They're cleaning them up. That should be done. It should have been done by the time he was doing the show last night, but we hadn't heard. In closing, he was saying he was hoping to get the numbers, this and this and this, and then he decided to go into he's got to promote Sue again, and I'm not gonna get on Sue. She is what she is, and she's not gonna change. But that was pretty much Bruce. And to be honest with you, when I was getting the information from Marianne last night, and me and Marianne have a lot of fun when she's giving me the information. She's listening, because I just can't listen to certain people on the phone or stuff like it. They just go through me. It's like I just want to, you know what I mean? I just want to. It's not for me. So I do have a couple other things I want to go to. And guys, Bruce was very, very long. He the way Carpathia brought it out, and then me adding things to it. I mean, we're at 50 minutes already, and I don't want to go real long, but here's something that is dear to my heart because the lady was one of my favorite all-time people. But Lady Diana, the Rose of the People, will step from the shadows, not as a memory, but as a living testament to truth, resilience, and divine justice. She was never gone. She was protected. She was chosen. For years, she watched silently, waiting for the time when light would once again pierce the darkness. That time is now. She returns not for fame, but for you, for the children, for the silence, for the broken systems that must be rebuilt. She will guide us, as she always did, with grace, courage, and unstoppable fire of truth. The path will be shown, the lies will fall, and the world will remember. See, in my feelings, that's something that is going to really open eyes. When someone like her is brought back and it's proven she is who she says she is. When someone like Kobe comes back and he tells what's going on. And I've been getting some reports of some of the NBA players who were bad. Some of them I thought, one guy falls down a lot with, ain't no party like a Diddy party. And then that guy, but excuse me, I should have mentioned his name. Not that, I'm speechless when I come to what they did with him. So that, I just think that when some of these people come back and people realize what kind of world we've lived in. Myself personally, I'm rooting for a couple that I'm really rooting for is Buddy Holly, Payne Stewart. Well, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and a Big Bopper. And, telling a quick story about them, and hearing that they possibly could, that they've been in protection. It makes sense because Buddy Holly was he was flamboyant. I mean, it was his way or no way. It wasn't that he's making great money. It wasn't that he's changing the music industry. Yes, Elvis was the greatest, probably. But Buddy Holly is the main person that changed rock and roll. I mean, he bebop, man. He didn't get out there and sing that stuff that sounds like a dog howling in the middle of the night. And don't get me wrong, that was good music. Thank goodness I wasn't young enough to remember it. But what he did, but he was flamboyant. Now here, they're on a bus. The bus is cold. It's got no heat. The bus is broke down, and they're going to have to get someone to come over, and they're going to get late going to their next stop. They're going to be late. By his brand new Cadillac that he bought for his wife, and her driver was sitting in the parking lot. Well, let's see. A brand new Cadillac that he buys for his wife, and they're going to go from where they're at to their next destination. You're going to rent a plane in the middle of the night to get on it with an inexperienced pilot, or you're going to let your wife sit in the front seat with the driver and the three sit in the back seat and drive and sleep all the way there while the driver gets them there very, very safe, very, very quick. Big enough trunk that they could take some of the other guys' laundry and special needs that they needed taken. It just didn't make any sense to me, even as a kid. But see, I wasn't looking at life the way I do now as a patriot when I was a kid. If you do not have a project but wish to help, below is a list of 15 categories of projects from which you can choose. Each category is associated with an executive order, EO. You can look up EO to learn what the focus is. This will help you if you do not have an existing project. Infrastructure, there are 5 EOs related to infrastructure. One is 13807. It was made on 8/15/2017. Review purpose and what is needed. Energy, international and American business, security, violence and criminals, American Indians, refugees, Pacific Islanders, housing, technology and space, agriculture, ocean waters, health, spiritual, terrorist, education, financial and money, and veterans. And for those who don't have a project that you can get involved in, run one of those that I just said, go to tell them at the Redemption Center, or you can take some of your Zim money and say, okay, I want to support this, someone else will work it. Myself, I really want to work with, as I said, with the kids. It's not just finding homes for kids. Excuse me. It's not just finding the homes, having someone that will love them, be there for them, whether it's the whole thing, the mom and dad, the mom and mom, the dad and dad. I don't care. Just a mom, just a dad, just so on their birthday they wake up and they know they're going to have presents. They're going to have cake and ice cream. They're going to have a little party. At Christmas, they're going to have a Christmas tree up, and they're going to sing Christmas carols, and they're going to enjoy growing up and not being just a number that no one wants. They're not going to, I don't want it to be where a kid is going to go into a home and, hey, the state will pay you this much money for this child. And this lady says, or this man says, well, I'll take this one, and I'll take this one, and I'll take this one, and I'll take this one. And they lock them in their bedroom. Rarely feed them. Don't care if they're clean or not. No one sees of them unless the social worker demands to see them. No more of that. These kids will be loved. If we can't get them in homes right away, I want to build centers where these kids, when they're in this building, in this thing, the people working there, maybe the people working don't have family and they can just live there like it's their home and these are their kids. But the ultimate goal is to get them all in a family, to work with them. But also one of the projects is the special beds. See, because I think of enough people think of the special beds and donate enough. And with the hat in charge and with the people that's in charge now, there's not going to be no skimming off the top, like a certain president sends money to a certain country and then he gets over half of it comes back to him in his pockets and the pockets of his loved ones. You work $100,000 a year job, you work it for 8 years. When you go in, you got a net worth of about $200,000. When you, at the end of 8 years, you come out and you're worth $25 million. There's not going to be no more of that. And that's what we got to put a stop to. I'm going to take a quick look at Restored Republic. I'm not going to read a lot of it because we've covered so much. This was compiled by Judy on today, the 11th of July. Austin Fire Chief Joe G. Baker ordered Texas flood rescue units not to deploy and placed entire towns on response hold for many hours. Now over 100 were dead. That man needs to be dealt with. What we think we know as of the 11th. Judy wants to let you know that she's not ignoring your emails, but right now, with everything going the way it's going, she's getting about 4,000 emails a day, and she just can't keep up with anything. She has the information on on the special beds and things like that. But here's something. Grandma, why does people in the government say there's no list for that guy that had the island when that list has been filed in court as part of his partner's court records? Grandma, because dear, government people's names could be on that list, and they think they can fool us into thinking they aren't. As long as the mainstream media does not report on them, they'll keep on believing their own lies, plus try to convince others. It makes you wonder if those in the mainstream media have their names on the list too. Well, I believe they do, and I believe that was a very good question, brought up like that, because my question about mainstream media is, let's go back to election. Let's go back to when they're campaigning for election. Let's go back to every day, pretty much seeing the hat in a different state, sometimes 2 and 3 states a day, telling us what he was going to do. And what does he always say? The terrible people in mainstream media, they have to be dealt with. But we're 5 months into his election, and they still have not been dealt with. They're still getting away with everything they want to get away with. You know what? It's time he comes in, and you know what? He needs to put the hammer down. He needs to take it and put the gauntlet down and say, this is how it's going to be. If you can't do this way, we'll bring people in who can. Because I can tell you, there's a lot of people in journalism. There's a lot of people who would like to be in mainstream media news that would love the opportunity to do this and would be good at it, and they would do it the right way. But no, because these other ones got in with the cabal, with all these bad people, and they are all bad. And as far as I'm concerned, the ones that are bad, it's time them 800,000 arrests take place. It's time we get this over. Let's get her done. The Fed is dead. We know that. The fiat currency, it's gone. But yet we keep spending it. But that's about all I'm going to read tonight, guys, because we're at a hour or two. And quite frankly, I'm hungry. I want to go get some supper. But it's been a good week. I think it's going to be a good weekend. I'm not going to make any promises that we're getting the numbers. I've done that the last 2 weeks, and I've looked like a fool. But hi, Kara. See, when I come on here with passion and love and concern for all of you. And when things don't get done, it bothers me. But what bothers me more is when I see all these people, Patriot 2020, I think it was. Someone posted today. They posted on our Telegram site, and this was from, who was it from? Barra, that guy that was last name Barra. And he says, guys, I have so much news. I have so much amazing news. He's going on and on and on about how good it is. But unfortunately, I can't tell you any of it. She come on and she says, can't tell us any of it. Why did you even mention it? And then I went off because I agreed with her. And I said, look, I don't care who you got. I don't care who you got for your contacts. My contacts are you guys. I don't have nobody special. Well, I have everybody special because everybody in this group, this family that gets me information, you're all special to me. But I don't know no banker that does this. I don't know somebody else that does that. I've been fortunate enough to meet a nurse that has actually been shown and a little bit of training on the beds. So I do know they're real. I don't have any of these special ones, but I'm telling you, these people that have all of these special people, these people that's doing all this and all that, they don't care. I'm telling you right now, these people don't care if we reevaluate. They don't care if we get all this other stuff. They don't care because, see, they're right now exactly what the cabal was. They're raking in from us just like the cabal did for all these years. You stop and think about it. You stop and think about it. You know, you have to pay money to ask questions to certain things. You have to pay money for a lady to give you a program and explain to you what to do at the Redemption Center. But I've asked this question at least 100 times. Have you ever been to the Redemption Center? No, she hasn't. So how can she be so sure? How can you charge something? Because what you're telling the people to do at the Redemption Center, if what you're telling them to do and charging them, you're stealing from them. If one, I don't care, you can be 100%, 99% correct on your programs. But if you mess up on one thing and it bothers a person, they have the right to sue you. These people, they don't care. I talked to a guy who was one of the main reasons I got doing these shows. He did a challenge one day. He was talking with Juan O'Savin. David Rodriguez is his name. And I used to listen to him all the time. I thought he thought the world of him. I love sports so much, and he was sports related. I used to love boxing when it was boxing. Now you box, you kick, you bite. You do anything. And he challenged. They came back, him and Juan O'Savin come back from a big weekend. And they said, we need more people to get out and spread the word. And I took the challenge. And on March 5th, 5 years ago, I did my first recorded show. I sent it to Ron and 11 other people and told them, hey, if you like it, send it to people you know. Over a course of about 3 months, that turned into 36,000 people coming into our group. Now, you all know the story of what happened to the group. We got some people in there that thought they were bigger than God and lied and cheated and did whatever. But that's okay because the group we have now is great for me. But with that, I'm going to call it a week. Hopefully we get the numbers tomorrow. If we do, I'll come on. I'll come on just to give the numbers. You know, we'll plaster it all over. Anybody gets the number, make sure everybody that you're associated with gets it. Let's do this together as a family. Patriot 5, Patriot 6, and family. That's who we are. With that, good night. God bless. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you before, but if not, I'll see you on Monday.